This is really just a talk about, it's for a mixed audience. So for all the different people in here, if you look at who has signed up to be part of the course, we have physicians, we have surgeons, we have athletic trainers, we have therapists, and anyone interested in baseball medicine, of course, was invited and welcome to be here. And all of you are part of a sports medicine team, and I know that you all have figured out in your own environments how to work in this team, and I'd like to just call your attention to the fact that there's a need for leadership at every level of the sports medicine team to really deliver the very best product available. When you hear about some of these organizations that do extremely well, yesterday you saw two of them in Cleveland and the Chicago teams. The leadership comes at all levels, and of course the ownership gets some credit, but so does the general manager, but then the manager, and then you see some of the players. For those of you that didn't get a chance to stay up last night, there was a rain delay, and a number of the players on the Cubs team mentioned that one of the players called them all into the weight room and sat them all down and said, "Listen, this is the moment. This is our moment. We're ready to go." He essentially gave a pep talk. He was a leader. He came in, he talked to the team, and many of the younger players commented on how that was very helpful for them, and whether that allowed them to score the next 2 runs or not is another story. But the reality is leadership is needed at every level. And so what is sports medicine? We're talking about leadership. As you know, it's an interdisciplinary subspecialty of medicine which deals with the treatment and preventative care of athletes, both amateur and professional. And that umbrella is very broad. It can include the human performance side as well as the injury and management side when taking care of these athletes. A team is a group of people, usually with different skills, that come together to achieve a common goal that cannot be achieved alone. And they're going to be more successful as this team, where it's not 1 + 1 = 2, but 1 + 1 = 3 or 4, and synergistic. The sports medicine team includes the specialty physicians and surgeons that are involved, athletic trainers, the therapists, coaches, and other personnel. And of course, at the center of all this is the athlete that we're trying to take care of, improve, and then repair and get them back out into the field of play. The players on this team are diverse, and for those of you that are involved at the professional level, these people all interact. They walk through the training room, and you have interactions with them, and it's amazing how all the different parts can be integrated. And it's always amazing to me when the team is doing well, how all these parts seem to be very nice and smooth and get along well. And then when the team is not doing well, it's almost like walking through a funeral home. Nobody talks to anybody. You kind of walk carefully off to the side. And so really, I think it's important that the team stay together, both in the tough times and the good times. And the role of sports medicine is curative, as we know. It's also rehabilitative, and it's becoming more and more preventative in terms of how we manage this. This is just an example of all the injuries that occurred in one season in the NFL, and you see all the different problems and all the places that it occurred, and then all the things that were done to try to help all of that. What makes a leader? Well, this word sort of goes over that. Someone who's a visionary, someone who's a good communicator, supportive, and really is fair and really has a sense of honesty and integrity, so that other people trust who that person is, whether they're in front of them or not. And we need leaders in all areas of healthcare. I write about this in Orthopedics Today as the chief medical editor. We in our physician world need to do a better job of not allowing lawyers and administrators to tell us how to practice medicine. And if we just sit back and let them tell us, we're going to be in trouble. We have to be part of the process. We have to be leaders, and that's the same with sports medicine. You know you're a leader if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. And that's very important. And we do this from all aspects of our life, from our head, how we think about this, from our hands, what we actually do with our hands, and probably the part that we know is important, but we don't really talk about it as much, as what you do from the heart, what it really means to be passionate, and what it really means to be dedicated to what you're doing. So your thoughts, your actions, and your passion make a big difference. This is our team for the Chicago White Sox. We've been very proud of our team. We have a number of people that have really contributed a lot, and certainly Herm, who's been with us for 35 years, the Chicago White Sox. Chuck Bush-Joseph and our group started about 15 years ago, and now Nick Verma will be taking over the leadership of this group, and we have a number of physicians that cover this, as well as a number of other sporting events, but we try very hard to work together, high level communication, and we take all of this and really try to live by this model too. You don't need to be a pro to be treated like one, and we try to treat all of our athletes that way. There are so many qualified and substantial leaders in multidisciplinary areas, like Ellen Shanley and the work that she's done with the American Society of Shoulder and Elbow Therapists, and Scott Saylor and the work that he's done with the National Athletic Trainers Association. You can come up with one area after another. Sam Dyer from the Physician Assistants Group, Cindy Cook from the Nurse Practitioners. And it is not gender specific. This is Robin West. Robin is the head team physician for the Washington Redskins and Washington Nationals. And she was the first female head team physician in the NFL. And really, talent has no gender, and it's important that that everybody takes a role in this. You know, who can be a good sports medicine leader? It's not about personality alone. It's about behavior, an observable set of skills and abilities. You've got to model the way. You have to have a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and then encourage from the heart. Have that passion and be honest with the people around you. A focused leader, this is from the Harvard Business Review, is really a good way to think about this in terms of how you can become a better leader. Focus on yourself, focus on others, and then try to see that big picture. You focus on yourself, you have to have some sense of self-awareness. Find that inner voice, your intuition, what you think about, what your gut feeling is, sometimes your passion, and then balance those two. And you have to be authentic. You have to be the same person in front of others that you are to yourself. You can't make yourself something that you aren't, but you can build on what you have and make it better. And you have to have good self-control. It's hard being in charge of some of these things. We oftentimes talk about working with physicians as like herding cats. Now, there's a lot of other areas where that's the same thing. And so being controlled and staying focused is important, and making sure that you have the integrity to do the right thing. Stephen Covey has also talked about this, how you start with yourself first, and then you move out from there to become a better leader. John Wooden talked about to be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think of you. And we've talked about this also in orthopedics today. You know, develop a clear vision of what's most important for your personal satisfaction and your happiness, and what your center voice is telling you, and move out from that. And then once you have that in a good place, and this is a constant activity, but once you have that in a good place, focus on others. Attention means to reach out or look and see what's going on around you. And you have to be empathetic. You have to be cognitively empathetic. What are people thinking about? Emotionally, what are they feeling? And you have to have an empathetic concern. How do others see you, and what do they need from you to make things work as a leader? And you've got to build these relationships. It's very, very important for a leader. As you rise through the ranks, actually, and you get higher up, the ability to maintain personal connections often suffers. It often gets more difficult the higher up that you go, but in reality, the rewards by maintaining them become even greater if you can focus on that, because in any organization, your number one resource is your people. Over and over and over again, it's your people. The ideas come from all around. They're typically based on individual organizational needs. The culture can provide some of this. They work better when they connect to other ideas, ultimately leading to better ideas and new ideas. And they're fragile. They're fleeting. They need support and guidance and leadership to survive. Team building is important. Michael Jordan said, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. The common good supersedes the self-interest. And Harry Truman said, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. And true leaders can recruit others that make the entire team better. We often talk about, even if you consider yourself a B-level person, you want to recruit the A-level people, because your whole team will get better. Always recruit the best person, even if you might find out they're better than you, because overall, everybody wins in that environment. Focus on the big picture, the last area. You got to be a good listener. More and more you hear about coaches and leaders speaking less and listening more to really be successful. And then if you listen well, you can be a good questioner. Ask the right questions. And then you've got to set that vision. How do you make the choices that will affect tomorrow? Your strategy is very important, and develop what you need outside the box. It's important to have managers who work within the box, but leadership is being able to take that and work outside the box and make sure the box is going in the right direction. It's a capacity to translate vision into reality. So managers often have a tendency to limit choices, to stay focused on task orientation, whereas leaders are trying to create choices or new approaches. You want to coordinate and balance a manager, but you want to evoke images, expectations, and increase things as leaders. And leaders take risks. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success, but leadership determines that the ladder is actually leaning against the right wall. And how many of you have worked on a project over and over again and then realized in the end that's really not the place you were supposed to be? And if someone had figured that out ahead of time and there had been some leadership and you'd gone in the right direction, you would have been able to spend that time more effectively. And obviously, sometimes a failure, as we heard earlier, is part of the process, and just being able to get back up and get going again is really important. The creativity of a leader is critical. It's the art of accomplishing more than the science of management says is possible. You don't manage creativity, you manage for creativity. And the creative man is motivated by the desire to achieve, not by the desire to beat others. You just want to get better. And that's a culture that you can create. You create that first by being trustworthy. People will open up their minds and share. You need to have a desire to change and improve. You can't be complacent and say, well, we're good enough. And you've got to have this passion that I keep talking about. It's really important. And innovation comes from that too, because that's to sustain the outward focus that leads to vision and innovation. We need uninterrupted time in which to reflect and refresh our focus and develop the habit of thinking outside the box. You've got to be able to think. And I love this quote. I've said it for many, many years, that everything in life is created twice. First in your mind, and then in reality. So many things that we do, you think about, this is where I want to be, and then it comes true, and people say, well, how did that happen? And it's because there's so many little details that went into how that all came together, but you thought about it first and you made it happen. And you've got to have that courage. You know, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out what your inner voice says. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary, by Steve Jobs. Can you be a better leader? It's not all about talent. It's about diligence and determination too. You have to have a willingness to exercise the attention circuits of our brain just like we do when we exercise other areas. You have to work at this. The difference between who you are and what you want to be is what you actually do. You can be a better leader. There's a number of studies that have been shown over and over again, whether it's in the academic world or otherwise, that you can actually improve your leadership skills and contribute more to the overall team and be a better leader. This is just an example where an extremely heterogeneous group of studies, leadership development activities, and universally valued by the participants, and all of them improved substantially. And there's a really nice paper in the Journal of Vascular Surgery about talent management and physician leadership training for tomorrow's physician leaders. And they went through this whole process and showed how they can substantially improve this. In the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery, they started a leadership development program about 10 years ago, and they've seen the success of that. We've had presidents of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery come through, and a number of other individuals, so we can all get better. And a big part of this is also being a mentor. So when you're further on in your careers, there's nothing better than to turn around and open up the door for somebody else. And it impacts how things go and how we innovate throughout our lives. So in summary, just some take-home points. Sports medicine is an interdisciplinary subspecialty. Leaders focus on self-awareness, awareness of others, and the big picture. They have a vision, they set a path and inspire others to work together to achieve the vision and beyond. Leadership and management are different. Leadership is teachable, but not everybody is willing to learn. Sports medicine leadership can be achieved at all levels of the team. Everyone in this room can be a better leader, and because of that, the entire team will be better. And I challenge you to think about that and work on your leadership skills. Thank you.